Good evening, everybody. It's day 5 of my live cookings. I am super stoked for this one. I know a lot of people that has been following me have been really excited for to see a ramen, and I think now's a good time to start doing it because, as I said in my post, I thought it would be good to do a dish with a lot of the ingredients you already had, because you probably have to buy bigger portions like the sesame oil and the soy sauce. So I thought, this is great. I know everyone was kind of expecting when am I going to do a ramen, so here it is. So if you haven't done already, before I start talking, you want to put your chicken legs in your oven at about 180 degrees, gas mark 4. Doesn't matter if you've got a fan or not. I'm using one without a fan today because it makes less noise. Chuck them in the oven if you haven't done already. So they're only going to take about 40 minutes depending on the size to cook. Okay, so do that first. So what I want to do is give a little information first about the ramen. So in Japan there are 4 major types of ramen, and they are shio, shoyu, miso and tonkatsu. There are obviously then different types of ramen. Like I said before, my favourite is a tsukemen ramen, but they are all based on those 4 major types. As I said and mentioned last week, I've got a YouTube channel now. It's now got 4 videos on it. I know it's small, but it's getting there with the help of my brother and a really good friend who's helping me get the videos online. And this one will hopefully be posted hopefully around Monday. So you can come back, try it again, which would be awesome. If you need a link to that YouTube channel, it's on my Instagram profile page. And there we go. So this ramen, and a lot of ramens, it's all about your preparation, okay? Today, I'm not actually going to do a great deal because the hard work is done. So if you've made your stock already, mine's already here, I haven't turned it on, it's here ready to rock and roll. It's always good to do it a couple of days before. You're only going to infuse more flavour, and that's what a ramen's about. It's just big, punchy, bold flavours all the time. Then I've got another pan of water, which I'm going to do for noodles. So if you haven't done already, you can get one of those ready. And then we come over to the little ingredients that I've got here. So basically I've got my sake, which was very kindly given to me by a wonderful band of brothers known as Brothers Smashed It, who I love dearly. I've also got my my sushi vinegar. Mirin, sorry. I've got my sake. I'm using my soy sauce. I'm using light. You can use dark. Again, I prefer light. It's a much cleaner flavour. Sesame oil. Got some sesame seeds. Obviously salt, important. Always need salt. Spring onions. Sweet corn. My tea-stained eggs. I hope yours came out just as good. My lovely wife made these, and I've got to say she makes them pretty damn well, so much love for my dear wife. Then I'm adding peas and broad beans into this, only because a very lovely company in Bournemouth called the Bournemouth and Poole Mobile Market gave me some wonderful fresh vegetables. I really want to mention them because they've been great. They go around and they'll send you veg boxes. Okay, small, medium and large. Nice little selection of root veg. Some ingredients that you probably might not use before. I've got some artichokes, some globe artichokes that unfortunately I have to prep, but it's fine because they're delicious. I'm going to do a little video about how to do them at some point. But I wanted to just do a little bit of them because these are peas and broad beans and they're fresh and they're absolutely stunning. But if you're just using the sweet corn, that's absolutely fine as well. But if you've got any other veg in it, again with ramen you can kind of make it your own. Put some pak choy in there, put some peas, put some carrots in there, put some monjtu, sugar snaps. Go nuts. You can just do anything you want in it, okay? So then the tea-stained eggs we talked about, and here I've just got sushi nori shoots. And this I've just taken one and I've ripped it. That's all I'm going to do, because this is going to be a nice little garnish, it's just going to stick in the bowl. I've made my own noodles. I've got to be honest, I had a little problem with them today. My pasta machine, I think I've had for since I was 19. I was given to it as a gift from college, and the linguine cutter seems to be a little bit wrong, and therefore they stuck. So they've not gone according to plan, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to use them because we tried them earlier and they were delicious. And then I've got obviously my bowls for my ramen, chopsticks because chopsticks. So we're going to go and start putting things on now. So what you're going to do is you want to put your stock on, okay? Get that bad boy rock and roll. You can get your water on for your pasta, for your noodles, sorry. I'm going to put a little bit of water, a little bit of salt in the water, okay, because it's flavour.
If anybody hasn't done their stock, the recipe can be found, can't it?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I've got a method and ingredients on my Instagram page, but I've also, my highlights, I've got a step-by-step picture. I think there's a couple of videos in there of the process of making stock. Now, in the recipe originally I said use chicken wings. I used that because it's probably the easiest thing you could find, because they're quite cheap and you only want to use them for imparting the flavour. I was breaking down chickens because I'm happy to do that and I can get portions out of it. And I use the carcass and the wings from them, and that's why mine probably looks slightly different. But really important with this is to get that on nice and early. Get it really delicious, loads of flavour. You can add more to it. If you've got any dried mushrooms, you can put them in the stock as well, and that's going to give a nice flavour. If you're feeling really adventurous and you're able to get some kombu, you can add a little bit of that in there. You can add some bonito flakes in there, and you start almost getting like a dashi kind of feel to it, which is again equally as delicious. And again, you can make variations of this. If you wanted to use it with fish, you could do it with fish instead. Use the fish bones, maybe get some white fish bones from fishmonger, or if you're going fishing and you know how to fillet the fish, get that bad boy filleted, use that in there, that would be lovely. Again, kombu, bonito flakes, or you can use, like they sell like a dashi powder, which actually looks like this. Actually, I might actually have some. They look like these. If you can go, Japanese or Chinese supermarkets usually sell these. You can get them on Amazon Prime. That's what they look like, and really easy. And they're just called bonito dashi powder. And they come in these little pouches, and there's 2 in a pack. And that's just concentrated powdered form dashi, which is lovely. Okay, again, you can use that for some making miso soup as well, which is delicious. Okay, so chicken should be on. Gonna get the water on for the noodles, and the broth is on as well. Okay, should smell absolutely delicious. Now, it's completely up to you. I leave the fat on top of mine because for me, fat means flavour, and I love it. And I know some people don't like it, but I think it's essential for me. You can remove it if you want to make it slightly healthier. You can do. It's no problem at all. If you're the vegetarians watching and they're using the smoked tofu, I've never used it per se. I've used other types of tofu, but I've always just cut it in cold and put it into ramens to finish or miso soups to finish. But if you're using smoked tofu, a bit later on, you want a frying pan, a little bit of oil, you can dice them up into whatever size piece you want, colour them all over, and then that can go in the bowl as well. So,
Jimsy Doodle's just ordered 2 boxes of dashi stock.
Yeah, it's a lot of dashi, mate. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to add the ingredients to the stock now, okay?
Jackie's a bit confused. Are you heating up the broth?
Yes, yeah, put the broth on to warm, okay, get that starting hot, that's what you want. So, in your broth, you're going to want, so we'll start with the liquids first. So we're going to have 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. Now, again, if you would like it a bit more of a sesame flavour, like I do, then add a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more because I've got probably a little bit more stock from you guys because I'm cooking for 4, okay, as opposed to most of you guys might be cooking for slightly less. So if you're cooking for 4, just add a little bit more of each. Maybe a couple of extra tablespoons. Then soy sauce, again, you want another 2 tablespoons. Okay. That's going to go in there. Like I said, I'm using light soy sauce. 2 tablespoons of that.
Kieran Everett says, so how many years of cutlery school or
Culinary school.
yeah.
Culinary school? Are we from America?
Or education have you had, and how long have you been working as a chef?
So I did 3 years at college. It was kind of 2 ways you could sort of go in when I was there. I went through doing an MVQ level 2, and then I did a year in bakery. Our lecturers wanted to have us to go on a level 3, but you had to do a minimum of 2 years. So whether you did that going a level 2 cooking course and then a bakery course and then level 3, or whether you did a BTEC national diploma. I wasn't smart enough for the BTEC national, and it's more of a managerial course anyway. So I decided to do that and then go on to level 3. So I did 3 years, and then I think I've now reached 16 years that I've been cooking as a chef now. Yeah, 16 years. Goodness me.
Academic, not smart.
Yeah, same thing. Right, so you should have the sesame oil. Thank you very much for your question, Kieran. You should have your sesame oil and your soy sauce in there. Then you're now going to add your mirin. So you want a tablespoon of that. Like I said, I'm just cooking for slightly more, so I'm going to put 2 in. Okay.
Jimsy Doodah says, how long have you been this handsome?
I think probably since lockdown when the beard grew. Right, next, most importantly, sake. Love sake. And this sake is good. You want a tablespoon of sake. I'm going to do 2 because there's more of us. Okay, a nice little mix. If you're having sake with your meal tonight, which I am, I'm putting it back in the fridge and I'm having it cold. There's lots of different types of sakes you can buy. One of my favourites is called a nigori sake, which is it's a cloudy sake, which kind of looks like skimmed milk, but it's cold. Oh, it's delicious. And when you've got a hot bowl of ramen, yeah, you'll absolutely crush it. So then sesame seeds. It's about 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds. I'm not going to bother measuring it because that's about the amount I need. And in they go. If you wanted to, you could always toast these first, just to add even more flavour. But usually the sesame oil is usually a roasted sesame oil, so I'm not going to. I'll pop that in. Okay, so then we're going to kind of move over to the only kind of prep we have to do, which is just the spring onions. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to take the spring onions. If you haven't already, you're going to peel the outside ones, okay, like so. Always take the outside of the spring onions off because they're always a little bit tougher.
Matt's time asks if you toasted the sesame seeds.
No, I didn't. I just put them in because I've got the sesame oil. There's a toasted sesame oil, but you can do if you want to, but I'm not.
Marie asks what you recommend to drink for the ramen if the sake she has is cooking the sake.
Oh. I think a nice glass of cold white wine, to be honest. Something a little bit sweeter because this can be quite high in quite a salty dish, quite high in umami. So I would definitely go with something, a nice crisp white wine with a little bit of sweeter notes. Good? You can see my slippers, so I apologise, but I don't care because it's cold. So the spring onions, chop them any way you want. I'm just going to chop them like so, okay?
Dan Phelan 123 says, what do you think about turkey twizzlers?
Mate, I pray you're not on the opposite team of me on Warzone later. Turkey twizzlers. Actually, they're a taste sensation. No, I can't say. I don't think I've ever eaten one. Ever. I think they were kind of. I didn't have many school meals. Surprisingly, at my size, I didn't have many school meals when I was young. My mum used to only give us school dinners once a week, and I remember always getting the same thing. I was given £1.50, and I would get 2 portions of pizza and a pasty. So a nice, healthy, balanced, low gluten diet, at least once a week. Unless my mum couldn't, and every now and again she either didn't have stuff to make packed lunch, she would get us, she'd give us another £1.50. Sometimes I had it twice a week. It was a highlight of my week, most certainly. It's quite sad when it gets to the point when the dinner lady knows knows what you were going to ask for before you go for it. Okay. Right. So there we are. Right, I'm just going to have a little taste of the broth. Okay, and it should be OISHII.
OISHII.
I hope. Give it a nice little mix. Oh, it tastes like absolute dreams. I'm going to look at the salt in there. Oh. And if you followed the, well, I know Ben followed the ingredients, the recipe to the letter, at least the second time. Oh yeah, that's much better now.
Kieran Everts asks, which chef would you love to work with for a time, for experience or fun?
Oh, that's a good question. I probably would say Grant Akis from Alinea in Chicago. He, for me, is absolutely incredible. And if you guys have watched Chef's Table, he's, I think, the first episode of season 2, and he basically, I find him inspirational because he thinks outside of the box so much, and he very sadly got cancer of the mouth, and he was going to have to pretty much stop being a chef, but he managed to overcome it and go through some special treatments, and now he's got a 3 Michelin star kitchen in Chicago. My boss very fortunately was able to go there, and he said it was the best meal of his life, and I think he's just incredible.
One day we'll go.
Well, one day, always bad. Cool, so now guys, your broth should be on. That's really important. You don't want this to boil, okay? You don't want it to boil. You want those lovely clean flavours because to just sit there and marry together beautifully. For me...
So if not boiling, Simon, what temperature would you keep it to?
So for me, when I talk about a simmer, you want the bubbles to just be moving under the surface. Now, you will, when you're making the stock, you'll always have a layer of fat because there's always skin on the chicken. Therefore, it releases fat. So you'll have a layer of fat on the top. So you'll just see just a few bubbles. As soon as they start, I'll get everything to go round. Mm-hmm. Hopefully by now, guys, you should have your water boiling. Okay, so what I want you to do is, you're going to need a bowl, and you're going to need cold water in a bowl. Okay, so, and I'll explain why in just a second, because we're going to build all this cold. So if I put this, so you got all this fat. It all sits on the fat. The fat always goes to the top. So it's not quite boiling, but that is, oh mate, that looks so good on video, mate. Oh, OISHII. Okay, so you want it just coming under the simmer. Okay.
Shall I go back now?
Yeah, you can do. So, with your noodles, if your water's boiling, you're going to put your noodles in to the boiling water. Okay, I'm going to do mine one at a time, but if you've got a couple of packets, you can do. Okay, just to help separate. Now, the reason I'm doing this is when you cook something and you put it in the cold water or iced water, it's called refreshing it. And the idea is basically stopping the cooking process. Because what I'm going to do is, all of this can kind of be done cold. You could even do these ahead of time if you really wanted to, and just toss them in a little bit of oil and keep them safe so they don't stick together. Okay, and then basically we're gonna, once the chicken comes out, we're gonna put the bowls in the oven when the oven turns off to get warm. And then when we serve them, everything's going to go all at once, and it's going to be all cold. And then the broth, which when you're about to serve it, you're going to crank it up to the max, finish it off, get it really nice and hot, and then it's good to go. So, my first lot of noodles is ready. Okay. I'm going to have my next lot. The water's boiling.
So what is in the homemade noodles, Simon?
So the homemade noodles, if you've got a pasta roller machine, you can make them. I know that one lovely family, the Beers, have a pasta machine because they had a little private lesson the other week, didn't they? Little treasures. And to make these, I used strong white flour, which is bread flour, and then you make something called a kinsu, which is salt, water, and bicarbonate of soda. But the bicarbonate of soda needs to be baked to remove that kind of harsh bicarby taste. It needs to be baked first for about an hour and a half at 140 degrees. Obviously in an oven without a fan, because otherwise you're not going to have any baking powder at the end of it. Yeah, they're nice and cold now. And then basically once you've got that and it's cold, you mix the bicarb with water and the salt, and then you make a dough. So you put that in, I use KitchenAid, so I use the KitchenAid, put the flour in there with a few eggs, brown them together, brought them together, added the kinsu to it, kneaded it, put it in the fridge. It lasts really well. You can freeze it as a dough and it will last up for a week in the fridge. It does start to lose its colour a little bit, as anybody who's made pasta before knows. It does start to sort of oxidise a little bit if you don't use it straight away, but it doesn't really affect the flavour, and at least not in my eyes. Okay, Emily, do you want to come around here and I'll show you this again?
Yep.
So that is what I would call simmering. So it's just, the bubbles are just coming up from underneath. Okay? You don't want it any more than that. Okay, let's switch to some tongs. Thank you very much. They're not very either. There they are. Okay. I'm going to turn that off now because this flame is a little bit fierce. Has anybody made any other of the recipes that I've put up? I know the brothers known as Smashed It have nearly every day. Surprised you're not getting sick of it, to be honest, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it still. But if anyone's made any, then do let us know in the comments, because it warms my heart to know that people are trying new things and new different recipes at this time, which I know is it's not very good, not very easy for people, but well done if you're doing it, because it is lovely to do new things. Okay.
Crispy Brass says okonomiyaki was incredible.
I know that your next attempt wasn't. Do not use, as Crispy Braz will say, who's my brother, will say, do not use gluten-free flour. It does not work. Unfortunately, his one, when he flipped it, fell apart and looked. It was not that great. But I know at the moment a lot of people are struggling to get flour. And that's fair enough, but do not use gluten-free flour. You might be able to substitute with maybe gram flour, which is made from chickpeas. That might work actually quite well.
Weren't we going to try Rice Krispies one day?
Yeah, that's one thing in Japan. We always found the Rice Krispies being in every okonomiyaki we ever tasted. Just don't, obviously, as long as they didn't use the sweet ones, that's all that mattered.
Jess has made donburi and the whole family loved it.
Oh, good.
And Edward Cleland said that they've made one of them every day so far.
That's so good. Right. So now, guys, you should have, the chicken should be not far off. Okay. Just going to have a little look. So the way you know if the chicken is cooked, which this one almost is you're going to be able to sort of push that bone or pull that bone out of it quite easily. Okay, so I'm going to put it back in the oven probably another 10 minutes. And then basically what we're going to do with the chicken in a minute is we're going to pick the meat off the drumsticks. Okay. Okay, and then the thigh, we're just going to pull that centre bone out. Okay, that's why I said to put him in half.
And how do you cut a chicken leg in half, Simon?
You watch a YouTube video, and there's one I found. I was asked by a few people, and perhaps it's made me realise that I shouldn't take the skills of cutting a chicken in half for granted. Because there are some people that don't know. I mean, if you're really fortunate, you get thighs and instead of legs, and then you don't have to do anything. But if you're fortunate enough to have done that, or have used the forethought to get that. Right. So my last batch of noodles has just gone in now. Okay.
Laura Window says machete.
Yeah, that'll work. But it'll probably cut everything else as well.
And Jess says that Duncan's absolutely obsessed with okonomiyaki.
Good. Now you just, I am tempted to do the other style. I might do a video of that with the noodles because we liked it, but I still prefer the Osaka style to be honest. But it was nice. It was very nice. So.
Don't coat chicken in Rice Krispies. The Ollie Lowe's mum will tell you why.
Ah, yes. Is it because of where Rice Krispies are made? Is that why she doesn't like them? Bless. Right, so my last lot of noodles have just gone in. Chicken's not far off. So what we're going to do in a minute, I'm going to start building. So I've got my 4 ramen bowls. Obviously, if you're using chopsticks, great. You will need a spoon as well, unless you're just going to straight up slurp them as beautiful as well. I think I said in the last week's video, okay, in Japan, you are meant to slurp, okay? I know in this country, you don't, and if you've got any older ones with you in the household, they may look at you with disgust, but you tell them to be quiet because you're cooking them a meal. But basically, you've got to slurp, and there's more to slurping than just its noise. It's because as you slurp, and you have to pretend that I'm slurping, you're introducing cold air into your mouth. Therefore, as the noodles come into your mouth, you're cooling them down, and therefore you're also meant to eat them. Apparently as well, also in Japanese tradition, you should never bite the noodles because you're cutting your life in half, which is I don't know how true it is, but that's what they believe. That's fine.
Simon,
yes.
Becky's getting a bit asking about the noodles. They've put their noodles in the cold water.
Yeah.
You're not going to cover them in flour, is it? The flour is...
No. The flour is just for me because it's fresh noodles. They have quite a bit of moisture in them. Most people are going to be using dried. So once they've sort of come apart, and try one like you would do when you make pasta. You always taste to see if they're cooked. It's the same principle. Okay.
So just put them in the water and then drain the water off of them. And
yep.
keep them
And
to
then,
one side.
Exactly. Right, I'm gonna this last one because I don't need this water anymore.
Because you want to stop them from cooking
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah. You want to put them in the water to stop them from the cooking process.
Did you want to tell us about the tea-stained eggs? The process?
Yeah. So The tea stained eggs. I had a couple of questions about this. So these are the tea stained eggs. So they're all I've done is, all Emily's done actually, is soft boiled them, depending on the size of the egg. Take anywhere between 4 to 6 minutes to soft boil. Really important to have ice cold water as well, because otherwise it just doesn't cool it down fast enough, and then they're going to stay cooking, which is not what you want. And then you make a solution of sake, soy sauce, water, I think that's it, isn't it?
Mirin.
And mirin as well. And then basically you then just put those ingredients all together. Oh, a little bit of sugar as well. And then you soft boil your eggs, get them ice cold, and I mean ice cold, put them in an ice bath, which is just in a bowl with water and ice. And then once they're cold, you peel them and put them in that solution. I've seen in some recipes, I think it looks quite cool, is if you crack them and sort of roll them on the table, so they still have the skin on them, but they're cracked, and then put them in the solution, you get like almost like a cracked tea effect, and actually it's pretty cool. But I didn't do it with these. Well, I didn't do it with these, so we're not going to go with that. But that's a really nice way of doing it. And then that liquid, when we cut it open later, you'll see that you'll get lovely brown on the outside, nice white, nice yellow runny centre.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. If you haven't got the runny centre, it's not the end of the world, but it does give a real nice richness and decadence to the ramen. Okay, so we are not far now, guys. Okay.
The tea stained liquid can be frozen and used once more, can't it?
Yeah, you can freeze it easily. I mean, I know it's got sake in it, which is an alcohol which doesn't freeze that well, but this one, because there's not a lot and it's more of a water content, it's easier to do. And you can freeze them. But yeah, at least they'll last up to a week in the liquid will last. The eggs will last up to a week, and the liquid will last longer because there's nothing high risk in there. Okay, right. Let's go on to the chicken next. Okay. So I'm happy with them. Okay. Put my finger in it. It starts to break off. Lovely. Just going to leave them to cool for a couple of minutes. Okay. Ramen stock is looking lush. Okay, now I'm going to turn the oven off. Okay, now with your bowls, I'm just going to pop them in the oven. Okay, don't need to keep them there very long, it's just really to warm them up, because otherwise what's going to happen is, if you don't put them in the oven, don't warm them up, you're going to have hot broth, cold noodles and everything else, and some warm chicken, and it's all going to be lukewarm. This way, it's going to be all nice and hot all at once. Okay.
For vegetarians, how would you warm the bowls?
You could boil a kettle and pour boiling water into the bowls and leave it in there till you're just about to serve, and then pour the water out obviously, and then just start assembling. Okay, right. Oh, I'll do that. What that way for? Need for the chicken. Right. So what I'm going to do now, the chicken. Okay, so I'm going to take the thighs. Okay. Now, I know you guys won't have hot asbestos fingers like me, but it's fine. You can use 2 forks if you really want to. Okay, I'm going to use 2 forks with the drumsticks. I'm going to take these off. Okay, and then with the thighs, you want to flip them over, and then with a spoon or a couple of forks, like I said, a couple of forks, you can just pretty much pull them apart, and it'll be nice. If it doesn't come off the bone easily and come off clean like this, they're not cooked. Okay, but these are cooked. Okay, I'm going to take these off, like so. Okay. Don't throw these away. You could always put these back into a saucepan and they're ready to go. So there's one thigh.
In a saucepan to make stock?
Yeah, you could make another stock again. You can make it like a quick recipe stock as well. Right, so you see that? It all comes off the bone nice and easily. Okay. Pull these out. like so. If you did the teriyaki chicken burgers with me last week, or you've seen the video, I do a little bit at the beginning about how to debone these first, which you can do, which in turn will help cook the chicken thighs quicker. Okay.
Getting really hungry now.
And I can tell, my love, I can tell.
See me drooling.
Lovely, we can go over there. Now I'm working on, I mean, if you've just used thighs, which I know some people have, you know, and you've got enough to give two each, give two each. Or if not, give the one who you like most the big piece. Just don't tell them. But don't watch this video, unless you really want to. Okay, lovely. So that's the yes button, you may go. That's the dog who's circling, waiting for this, but you can't have cooked food. So with the thigh, with the legs, drumsticks, I'm going to pull the skin back. Okay, no laughing, Ollie. Okay, and I'm just going to pull the meat off, like so. Okay, just be careful, there is a tiny little bone, which you don't want. Okay, and be very careful. I will try and locate it so you know what I mean. Okay, which should be, there it is. This little bone here.
Hate that bone.
Yeah, be really careful. You don't want that to get in there, guys, because that's really dangerous. So take that off there. So that's one portion. Okay, same again with the next one. Pull that off. Okay. If you've turned your broth off like I have, you want to get that back on. Okay, because now we're going to assemble. As soon as I pick these, we're assembling, and then it's ramen crushing time. Yes.
Ramen, ramen, ramen.
Little chef snack.
Hey.
Number two. Just going to come off nicely. If you're vegetarian and you're following this in a vegetarian recipe, then now's a good time to fry off your tofu. Okay.
Jess says last time she pan fried her tofu with mushrooms and added miso and sesame and it was crispy. Worked really well.
Well, that's a good idea. Thank you, Jess.
Flavour.
No, that's good. I mean, more flavour. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just going to be delicious, and that sounds really nice. You know, if you can get a hold of miso, great. Right. So there, guys. So we've got chicken leg for everybody. Now, assembling time. Let's do this. So you take the bowls out. Yeah. Should be nice and hot. Oh, swanny. Okay. Like so. First goes in. Noodles. Center of the bowl. Alright. Next, grab a piece of the thigh, pop it in there, and the piece of the picked leg just next to it. Okay. Right. Then, sweetcorn in there, or whatever other veg you're using. If you've used any raw veg, like pak choy, you want to blanch them beforehand. The method will be going up tomorrow, and you'll see that. I mentioned about that. Spring onions. My peas and broad beans.
So you're sort of putting it in a circle around the side?
Yeah, kind of imagine like a clock face. Do a little bit each time and just put each one next to each other. Okay. Lovely peas and broad beans, again provided by Wilmington Pool Mobile Market. Now, the pièce de résistance. Tea stained eggs. Moment of truth.
I'm nervous.
Just going to cut them off. They're absolutely spot on, look at that. Right, they're going to go in the middle. Well done, my love.
Thank you.
Okay. If they're runny, that's fine. If these are a little bit more, that's fine. Oh, that one. Oh, that's so good, that one. Oh, so good. Okay, lovely. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so good. Right, next, the broth. Just gonna pour that broth straight over the top. Yeah, make sure you give it a mix for a couple of them, because otherwise somebody's gonna get all the fat on the top, which is lush. Okay. Okay. You see right now, if you feel the bowls, they've started already to cool down a bit, but they're still going to be warm to get all of that beautiful flavour on there.
Smells so good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good, this one.
OISHII.
Yeah, OISHII. And if you've got broth left, that's fine. You know, you can use it if you haven't got enough to make another ramen. Use it as a base for something else. Use it for a base to make a really lovely chicken soup. You know, you could cook chicken legs in them and poach them off in there. Pick it all down, add some fresh veg in there, and then make an absolutely stunning soup. Okay. And finally, guys, nori just on the side, just stuck in like so. And there we have it, guys. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining in and coming and watching this. I really, really appreciate it, and it's been a blast making this with you guys. I hope yours turns out as well as this. And it tastes, I'm sure it's going to taste absolutely amazing. Enjoy it. Please post your results on Instagram. I'll gladly put it on my story because it really does make me happy when I get to see people try this amazing food. And next week, Friday, 5 p.m, we're going to do beef pancakes. Okay? I'll tell you now, plain flour. You need to get hold of some plain flour. Rob it. No, don't rob it, I'm joking. Get some any way you can. Get someone you know really nice. Ask them to get some plain flour. Contact veg suppliers if you have to. Go to a local bakery, ask them you can have a couple of kilos and buy it. I'm sure they'll do it.
No, use a strong flour.
What?
Use a strong flour.
Oh, well then strong flour, which is bread flour. You want to use that instead? Great. Perfect. So take care, guys. Thank you very much. Tune in next week. Thank you again. Post your results. Give us a follow, subscribe on YouTube. Share my page. It's been a blast. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.